where were you at? Where was this business at? And you're thinking in terms of what were you trying to achieve at the start of the course? What drew you here first?
Well, I've had a website for 5 years that somebody else has been in control of and designed, and that was relevant to what I was doing at the time, which was the band, but it's not been doing very well recently, but it doesn't matter anymore. But this is a new venture for me to go into more of the management side, selling other acts, things like that. What I have learnt from it is basically I started out wanting to just do acts, be like an entertainment agent, but after research on the internet, looking at keywords and things like that, I realised that the market was saturated and it was hard to pick up from now to be able to achieve higher rankings than what people have already got that have been established for 7 years.
Yeah.
Plus, I thought it was harder to get links, so what I've decided to do is incorporate the entertainment purely for events and weddings, and also putting on, because I think it's easier to sort of network for photographers, for flower people, for wedding dress hire, for limousine hire, and basically work as a community. And then basically go round trying to get people, see if they're interested, to go on the website, or if not, just to have links. Also, I'm going to use like blogs on the internet and also video on my side of it, so that people can actually see the bands performing, to book them.
Fantastic. So to me, there's two elements to this. One is that out of the early stuff that we did on the course about long tail, you've taken on board this idea that perhaps you need to split the site or split the activities against down their themes. So you might have a site or space dedicated just to weddings, one dedicated just to sort of the corporate market or whatever. Is that right? Yeah,
definitely.
Fantastic. And then the second thing is this idea of you creating some kind of destination, a portal, a site that helps advise people about how to have a great wedding, and off the back of that, you kind of you sell them your services and sell them your acts. I mean, those two superb ways of approaching it. One is sort of looking at the niches, which exactly where the web is going, and the second, this idea that to sell to people, you need to have content, you need to give them some advice, some help, and this idea of you writing articles which would then help them, inform them. And then at the end of it, you're creating some, some business out of it. It's fantastic. So how are you going to expand that? What's your sort of plans? Is there a forum or?
There'll be a forum where people can basically leave comments, not only about the acts but about the service as well. Because I want to sort of do this as a whole service thing, hopefully. Because with me performing before, I've done a lot of weddings myself, and a lot of the time the bride and groom right from day one haven't got a clue what they want. They don't know what dress to buy, they don't know what entertainment to use, they don't know what caterers, they don't know pretty much anything. So I'm going to try and use my experience to put on the internet, and hopefully people will leave comments about, even if I don't sell them anything, they ring up and say, okay, can you give me some ideas? And I give them my ideas, and hopefully they'll come back to me, or they'll use one of the people that are on the internet that
that fits perfectly with the persuasive part of the course, where we were talking about reciprocity, weren't we? With the idea that if you're really helpful and you go that extra mile for people and give them a lot of information, they're kind of sort of obliged to come back, aren't they? I like the idea that you also came up with in the course, this idea of one of the basic sort of parts of a Web 2 business is that you're not writing all the content. Your customers and people who've just got married are, and this idea that your forum could be a point where loads and loads of people exchange ideas about what would be a cool wedding or a very affordable wedding or a very lavish one or whatever, and you control that as opposed to write all that content. I think it's definitely a good direction to go. Okay, so let's talk about traffic and keywords then, because this is quite an area of interest for you, wasn't it?
Yeah.
We did some research around specialising, looking at initially at the kind of this idea of a wedding or a wedding party destination, wedding party supermarket or whatever. And what did the keyword research? What research did you do, and then where's that kind of leading you?
I put in wedding events basically to start with, and nothing was coming up. I put in wedding entertainment, which brings up an awful lot. Basically what I've done is I've gone on every website that does wedding cars, wedding gowns, wedding entertainment, and I've basically viewed source, all the ones that are highest ranked in Google basically, and wrote down a lot of the keywords that the best sites are using.
Right, excellent.
And hopefully, like, all these will hopefully get the website.
Right, so you've got a whole series of keywords that you need including in that. Is there a sort of primary key phrase, a most important one?
Well, we settled on wedding reception ideas.
Wedding reception ideas, yeah. And from that we used, was it Word Tracker on that one?
Yeah.
Yeah, we used Word Tracker then to sort of work out how many searches there were for that. And what did you find when you looked at the businesses that were at the top in Google for that key phrase?
For that key phrase, basically a lady had bought the domain name Cheap Weddings, which we didn't think was particularly great.
Yeah.
But she was quite high up in the rankings, had a lot of hits, and basically she'd only been established since January last year.
Right. So it was sitting position 1 in Google very quickly.
Yeah.
So what sort of conclusions did you draw about where you could realistically get? Was she beatable?
I think she was beatable, yeah. So then I know I'm kind of on the right field now, because, like I said before, it's going to be easier to do this and get further up than it is what I was doing before, because there's more scope in it. So I've just basically got to steal her links if possible, get them to link with mine, and get a few more.
Yeah, so this lady, I do remember doing this with you, and this lady, this site only had about maximum about 40 links, didn't it? And it was about 18 months older than your new site, so really you needed sort of 50 to 80 links, but possibly less than that, and the domain hadn't been registered long at all, had it?
No.
So it was quite surprising. It definitely looked beatable, and I think when we looked at the amount of traffic, that was probably worth 25,000 visitors a year for you, wasn't it? Which is, you know, for the amount of effort you would probably have to put in, is quite a significant audience. You know, you probably, 10 or 20 hours effort, dedicated effort would probably get you up there within a year or 18 months, sort of equal to what they'd done. So that was quite exciting, really. So what are your kind of your objectives from this point onwards then? What are you going to do in the next three months and in the next year as well?
I'm going to do a bit more research. I'm going to basically write a plan to take to a designer, because even though I've done basic web design here, I don't think it's going to be up to the standard that I'm going to need for this.
Right, but you're going to write the content?
Oh, all the content, yeah.
Right, great, okay. So you're going to be writing some persuasive stuff in there, and looking at linear path and all that sort of stuff. Great, okay.
I think I've learned from this as well that for me, I'm more into the sort of marketing side of the web than I am actually doing the actual graphic work.
Yeah, more of the entrepreneurial side of it, yeah. And
I think what I've learned as well is this is so relevant and so important. It's like a bottle of perfume, basically. It can smell absolutely lovely, but if no one smells it, no one's going to buy it.
Absolutely, yeah.
And basically, you use David Beckham or whoever to advertise it, everybody wants it, and it's the same with this. If you don't get your site out there and use the right keywords, then you've not got a lot of chance of success, no matter how good your design is. So.
And when we monetised, worked out what that position 1 or that page 1 might be worth, obviously there's some significant traffic. Just one key phrase could get you 25,000 visitors. Well, you're potentially going to optimise around a whole series. You could easily be looking at 50 or 100,000 visitors, and convert 1% of those into some business, and it looks really exciting, doesn't it? So in terms of what sites you're looking at then, you're going to be concentrating initially on the wedding side of things? Yeah,
initially I'm going to start with the wedding site, because I've got an idea for another site as well that's nothing to do with this whatsoever.
Right.
But I'm kind of wanting to start this off. Not quite sure how to do it yet, but I think initially I want to get people to advertise on the site, but obviously the higher up it goes, the more likely people are going to want to go on and pay more money for it.
Yeah.
So I might offer them to go on it like really cheap to start with.
Yeah.
And then
cheap or even free to build it up, and then as it builds into an asset, and you get a higher PR, it might be more interesting
and
to
it
people.
Takes my business of the entertainment further up the rankings as well, so that's good. Whatever I get from that's a bonus.
I think the things that I'd encourage are the video, like you've talked about. I mean, it's crucial when you're booking an act, I think, to be able to, it's crazy when you think about it.